This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary here on this Monday. It is March 16th. I cannot believe we're halfway through the month of March, but it is probably one of the most unique broadcasts we've ever done. Without a doubt, that's probably an understatement. Jim Coyle with you here as always. Todd Leary as well. As soon as that came out of my mouth, I said, hell, that's an understatement.
I don't even – everything right now is an understatement, overreaction, insanity. I don't even know what's going on. Twilight Zone.
So basically, unless you have been living on Mars for 2 months, you know that the world has been upended by this coronavirus. I mean, we talked about the sports world. The hell with that. It's the whole world. I mean, your kids are at school and but my biggest fear, Todd, is, we saw all this stuff getting canceled, which sucks beyond belief.
Beyond belief.
I mean, it is. And I spent basically a weekend in secluded depression. I mean, it just sucked. I didn't hardly get out of it.
It's called social distancing now. That's the new term for it. Social distancing.
I'm glad I have a legitimate excuse for something
you have a social distance disorder now.
Yeah, exactly. I have plenty of disorders. So I'm glad to have a name for it. But yeah, it was. But this is it's a weird thing because this is something that we're all in, but now, and everybody was like, well, it must suck for you all. Yeah, it does suck for us because we're going to talk about a lot of other things. But the thing is, people got no place to go. They still have to come. They still want to hear somebody talk about something.
Other
than the damn coronavirus, probably.
Something that I learned from Coach Knight, and this is a sports show, and kind of my expertise is mainly stuff I learned from Coach Knight, and it's not just basketball related stuff. It's how to deal with different situations, and how to handle things, and how to react and not overreact in certain situations. And one of the things that he kind of instilled in all of us was to gather the information, be prepared, get as much information as you can, and evaluate it. I mean, everybody's going to, people are going to look at the facts, and not everybody's going to react to them the same way. And you got to understand that. And this is one of those situations. I give Bob Knight a lot of flack over stuff that he said and did and the way he acted and all that, but I give him a lot of credit for situations like this where you don't panic. I watch some of these people panicking like crazy, and I'm like, what? Explain it to me. Like, explain it. And there is no rational thought process that I've come up with where it makes sense that people are freaking out and going and buying 50,000 rolls of toilet paper and pure stupidity. I mean, it's just, I don't get it.
The fear.
And I've studied it. Look, I've watched everything there is to do all weekend. I've watched every 20, 60 minutes. Read all the stuff online. I feel like I have tried to be informed, and it just is still to this point, I cannot figure out why everyone is losing their mind and freaking out.
Yeah, I mean, you have to take it serious, but at the same time, you don't want to cause panic. But I mean, I understand. Like, we just lost all the tournaments that we had canceled. And, of course, one of the big ones that hit closer to home for everybody is the IHSA boys basketball tournament. Turns out, though, Floyd County down in southern Indiana, in the Albany area, just reported their first case of coronavirus, and that guy had been to the Seymour sectional the week before. He went to a Floyd Central wrestling match. I'm assuming this is a parent, sounds like,
right.
Somebody there. So there you go. There's all those instances where we can, it just sucks basically.
So purposefully, and you know me, like I crowds and stuff, surprisingly, even though I played in front of a lot of people and go to a lot of events where there's tons of people around.
He loves crowds, people.
I don't love crowds all that much, and it's
that's
just
not.
one of my weird isms. And
That's
but
not
you know,
that much of a weirdism. A lot of people are in the same boat with you.
purposefully, I wanted to go to Sam's Club and Walmart this weekend because I wanted to see the chaos and the idiocy that people had going on in there, and truly, like so who are the people that are most at risk for this? The elderly, small children. I get that, but the people that were in there with shopping carts surrounding the building prior to the place even having a new pallet of stuff that came in at Sam's Club, the people that are there were 95% of them were between the age of 25 and 45. And so, I started asking, I became an idiot at this thing. I just started asking people, I'm like, are you buying that like for your elderly parents or grandparents, or like, they can't come out, so you're buying that for them? They're like, no, we're stocking up at our house. I'm like, for what? Like this doesn't make any sense. If you're here, like, I get what you're doing. If you're here trying to buy a whole bunch of stuff and you're going to take it to an elderly community and so that they don't have to come out, hey, I'll go with you. I'll support with you. But if you're here buying this stuff to stock it up for yourself, like, you're 35 years old. If you get the coronavirus, chances are you're going to have flu-like symptoms for a little bit of time, and then you're going to feel better. Give me I don't get it. More people are going to die of cancer this year than the coronavirus. And nobody likes cancer. We don't have a cure for it either, but everybody's not running to the store freaking out daily on. I just don't understand it. If I can't understand something, I can't process it in my head, and I literally just haven't hardly slept. Like, this is just driving me nuts.
Widespread panic, man. It's panic
crazy.
At the disco. Panic at the disco.
But if there's a panic for a reason, I get it. If there's a nuclear bomb in the air right now, yeah, we're all be panicking like crazy. But there's a coronavirus that, if you and I get it, I know you're old as crap, but man, if you get it, I think you're going to be okay.
Lying. I hope so.
Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's just, and the way you look at, like, President Trump, I'm not getting political. I'm not talking about political, but I think that he gave like a 48-hour warning for people who had to get out of the country if you had to go, and it caused a bad deal at the airport, man. It's like, let's do a little more orderly here, folks. It's kind of like, reminds me of Animal House with the cop at the end. Everything is okay. Yeah. Everything's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
you guys are still ended up on the text line. We appreciate that. Now this one was in from Larry in Bloomington a day or so ago. He said Kobe Webster transferring to Nebraska. So your boy, even though he's sick, he's still on the recruiting trail, baby. He's still making it happen.
He's just got the flu. He's going to be over it, just like everybody else is going to be over it.
Alan from Baird's Eye said, good morning, guys. Hope all is well with you guys. Still wishing the committee could have at least shown the draw, just so all seniors, not just IU, could have had closure. There's a lot of people that really like to talk about the brackets. Tim mentioned that
draw is still going to come out. I have there's one factor that goes into that that some people have not considered, and for like Louisville and Indiana and Kentucky and schools like that, it's probably not as big a deal. But you get a school that doesn't make it very often. You get a Bradley or somebody like that. That coach probably has $100,000 bonus if his team gets to the NCAA tournament, and I just think that selection show will come out. There's too many bonuses attached to that eventually there's no reason to hurry. I knew they sent the committee home. They can't bring the committee, they've got to let them do their thing right now. But I figure in the next month or so, we'll see.
You know what's going to happen, don't you? I see it coming.
What?
For one thing, all the people are like Fox with our friend Mike DeCourcy. They'll do their show. CBS might do a show, but somebody has got to get Mike DeCourcy, Joe Lunardi, and maybe one other or two other quote unquote experts in that and come to a consensus like they do with the bracket matrix. They take every bracket that is available, everything that is available, and they merge them. I think Indiana was on 99.9% of all brackets, but you could do a show from that. I mean, and do it by bringing the guys together, Lenardi and DeCourcy and Leary, and put them all on there.
Look, if they hadn't had, I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday, that committee gets together in a hotel, and they all, I think they were in New York this year, and they all meet up and they kind of sequester themselves off and watch all the games and do all that stuff or whatever. Well, I think it was like last Tuesday or Wednesday, they sent them all home. So had they not done that right away, I think it would have been in everyone's best interest. Plus, it would have been the most watched show in history for CBS had they just had the selection show yesterday.
You know what? I tell you what, why don't we do? We need to set this up for and call some people and say, all right, we're going to do a draw. We're going to do our live draw like Friday or something. We'll turn it into a selection show. We'll get some different people on here and we'll form a consensus, and we'll just do our own.
Hey, what the freak else are we going to
Exactly.
I mean, we're not competing against anything else. I mean, I have seen so many people come in and call me and text me about watching the 1987 National Championship and the 1981 National Championship. I got a buddy from Louisville that watched the 1980 National Championship and the 1986 National Championship, the years that they won it. And it's just like people are we're look at this, Jim. We're 5 days into this right now, and sports people are losing their mind. Like there's going to need, how when there's a tragic situation, you hear whatever administration it might be say, hey, we're bringing in counselors for extra counselors for this, like
grief counseling.
Where are the grief counselors?
Grief counseling.
Yeah, where's the sports grief counseling?
That's a great point.
Because I mean, you talk about it's a true thing. Like it's this depression, this sports viewing depression is going to be a real thing.
Oh, absolutely. Well, because it's for one, it's sudden and it's complete. It is just complete. So you got people that are going cold turkey to something, to a behavior they are completely used to, and now you're taking that away. I don't care if it's a drug or what it is. You're exactly right. It's going to create a whole new business.
Yeah, it really is. And I can't tell you, and I know I'm no different than all our listeners and so many hundreds of thousands of sports people. Like I literally sat around all weekend, kept going, what am I going to do? What should I do now?
Friday night, I was at the Point eating, of course, the Eagle Point up at their pub, eating. And normally you're watching, well, I wouldn't have been there, but normally because I would have been at the Big Ten tournament. But you know what we were watching on TV? Caddyshack.
That's as good as any right now.
That was it. That was the sports viewing. Last night, back out, to grab a bite. I'm trying to remember because I was laughing again because I was looking up at what was on, and it was not even sports related. I don't even remember what it was. It just caught. I just kind of chuckled. I'm like, wow, this is what we've come to here on a Sunday night.
And this is where there needs to be something. Here's the bad part about what's going on. Like you can't even go out and volunteer and go help anywhere because everything's closed. Like I was literally trying to think of yesterday. Okay, big brothers, big sisters. Maybe there's somewhere I can go to. Maybe there's something I can go do to fill my time right now because I don't know. I mean, I hit as many golf balls as a person can hit in a cold weather day yesterday, and I'm like, I don't know what else to do. And I'm thinking, big brothers, no, they're closed. Can't even go do anything. And like, there's not even anywhere to volunteer, or go help, or do anything.
We got Don Fischer coming up with us here on the program, so we got that helping us out a little bit. Then we'll talk to Mike Schumann a little bit later on as well. So we'll keep it rolling right here, though. So I know you guys are bored out of your mind, but we're going to try to take care of that for you and be an outlet for you as much as we can. So, but we're back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat with Corey O'Leary. Back right after this.
I was chasing sun on 101 somewhere around Ventura. I lost a universal joint and I had to use my finger.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic. Safe. Effective. Even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hi, this is A.J. Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Don Fischer is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington, located on the square at 123 South College Avenue on the southwest corner. Call 812-336-7229. Personal injury, criminal, or business. Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington will get you taken care of. And now, here's Don Fischer. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this Monday. And, of course, that means we've got the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. The great Don Fischer. Don, thank you so much for joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat. Man, it is a different week, without doubt. Normally we're talking about the results of the games, and we would expectedly be talking about the results of the Big Ten tournament, looking forward to the NCAA tournament. Obviously, we're not doing that this week for a lot of changes going on, and we have to touch on the coronavirus, which has really affected all of our lives and the sports world and all that.
Well, it has. It's surreal. I mean, it honestly reminds me, and not in the same way, because obviously 9/11 was an unbelievable tragedy in this country, but it's affected the country in essentially the same way. It's canceled just about everything in the sense of the world of sports, and it's an ongoing cancellation, so it's even worse than what 9/11 was in that regard, because everybody wanted to get back and show that we were not going to be cowed by the whole thing of the tragedy that took place in New York City and the towers and D.C. and so on and so forth. So from that standpoint, people try to get back to a normalization and show people that this country would not be cowed in any way, shape, or form. by what happened there. Well, in this scenario, our country is cowed. It's very much been affected by this, and in so many different ways. And from an athletic standpoint, it's really tough to deal with because you have so many players from a basketball perspective and a winter sports perspective that were wrapping up their seasons, and now those seasons have been affected in a very negative capacity in that they can't even finish those years. And obviously for Indiana, Deron Davis and Devontae Green, two players that had never been to the NCAA tournament, we're looking forward to making the tournament this year. And I think based on their victory over Nebraska, getting them their 20th win of the season, that they definitely would have made the NCAA tournament. And we could have seen this team also make a run in the Big Ten tournament as well. So it's something that has really been unfortunate for these young men. It's obviously unfortunate for the whole basketball team and for the program because I think this team was really playing some of its best basketball at the end of the year.
Yeah, we can talk in some what ifs now, but the play had really gotten better. They had done things that they needed to do as far as winning and how that they needed to do that. They looked to be coming together and gelling and playing as a team more so than they had at maybe at any point during the season. And I think they had a really good draw in the Big Ten tournament. I like their chances to get to Friday at minimum and very well possibly on Saturday at a minimum for this team.
Well, I agree, and because this was such a deep team, I don't think it would have been affected as much by playing 3 days in a row, that kind of thing, or 4 days, whatever it might have been. I don't think it would have affected this team quite like it would some others that weren't quite as deep as Indiana was. But the fact of the matter is, they were only able to play the one ball game. And obviously against Nebraska, they were blowing them out at the end. They had their moments in this game where they didn't play their best. They had a couple of breakdowns offensively, especially, I thought, in the first half. But in the second half, they got the offense going and never really kind of looked back after taking a 9-point lead at halftime into the locker room. And honestly, I think that's one of the things that was such a plus for this ball club. They started playing so much better as the season progressed. At the end of the season, they were finding ways to win, even if they weren't shooting the basketball great. Obviously, it did affect them in some areas at the end of games. But again, I think Archie was confident that this team was playing its best basketball of the year, and they were playing in the toughest league in the country by not even close in that regard. So when you're playing that well at the end of the season, you never know what's going to take place in postseason play.
Yeah, and we're all kind of losers on this because all we've done is talk about what an incredibly unique season this had been from the very beginning of parity and to the likes that we'd never seen. And we had no clue who was going to win not only the Big Ten tournament or the NCAA tournament because it could be anybody on any given day that a team could win. And I was so looking forward, as everybody else was, to seeing that play out because this was certainly going to be one of those years that brought in a lot of intrigue.
Yeah, there's no question. And like we said, this team had a lot of components to it, a lot of different players that could have affected the ball games. And honestly, I just wanted to see how it all played out at the end. And I'm 100% sure that they were going to make the NCAA tournament with that 20th win and beating Nebraska soundly. I really believed that they could knock off Penn State as well. And I thought they had a chance against Maryland if they got to that point on Friday. So, but none of that's come to fruition, and it's all speculation. And right now, there's no way that you could predict what was really going to happen or what would have happened. So, I guess the season comes to a close in a very unspectacular way in the sense of how everything comes down with cancellation of the Big Ten and the NCAA tournament. The seniors on this team have concluded their careers. I know there's some kind of petition out there by athletes around the country, supposedly had over 100,000 signatures on it, that the seniors were all signing this petition to have another year of eligibility given to them. I don't know how many players in basketball would have taken advantage of that. I'm sure there might have been a few, but I think in most cases I don't see how you could do that because then you're talking about football players and the fall sports as well. Honestly, I think you're just making a mess of things when you try to equate it in that way. Now, spring sports and the kids that are affected in spring sports that are more affected than anybody else, I wouldn't have a problem with if they wanted to set it up for spring sports to have a fifth year or another year of eligibility given to seniors who wanted that opportunity. But I think, again, it opens up a can of worms sometimes that creates problems that are bigger than the ones you already have.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Don, and I agree with you. I'm in agreement, but there's so much in logistics-wise because just adding that extra year is now that begins a domino effect of adding extra costs to the schools, adding extra spots for on rosters, and because you got incoming freshmen, and there's so many things, moving parts with that. It's like, wow, how do you really end up doing this and make it equitably fair for everybody? Because it's not fair for those kids to just basically, you're right, they had a season just jerked away from them without ever having hardly seeing a moment of it. So it's going to be a difficult thing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I think it would cause more problems than it would fix, if you know what I'm saying. And as bad as I feel for all the seniors that are not going to play their final seasons or get a chance to finish their final seasons, it's a tragedy in that regard. But let's face facts here. This basketball program at Indiana's has some real positives going forward. They've got a bunch of guys coming back. Only Green and Deron Davis will not be back next year. It's still a young team in many respects. In fact, some of your youngest players in this team, Trace Jackson Davis being obviously the obvious one, is going to be a spectacular player as a sophomore, in my opinion. I think Jerome Hunter is going to make tremendous progress as well because of the year that he had this year and the fact that he was able to stay healthy all season long and fight through the problems with his leg injury that are so severe that I think it caused him to not see as much action as he would like, but at the same time, he was able to get through it without a recurrence, and that's a dramatic scenario from his standpoint. And because I just still think this kid could be a really special performer for Indiana basketball. And then you've got Armand Franklin, who he didn't see as much playing time during Big Ten play as we thought he would. He didn't play as well offensively as we thought he would. But I'll tell you what, he can play defense, and he's going to bring something to the table, I think, next year that we'll see a huge improvement in him. And Race Thompson, even though he's a redshirt sophomore, he was basically playing his freshman year as well. And I think he has shown that he is going to be a real factor for this basketball team. And then you've got the veterans and Justin Smith and Al Durham and Joey Brunk that will all be back for their final seasons. And Rob Finnessy is going to be a junior, and he is playing some of his best basketball at the end of the year. I just think there's so many things positive about what Indiana's got, and then the freshmen that will be incoming with Trey Galloway, Jordan Geronimo, and Anthony Leal. Three very talented kids, and we can't even talk about the other guy that may be coming. Well, we're not going to go there. If you know what I'm saying, I can't go there because I would get in trouble.
We'll go there for you later.
Thank you. So, at any rate, I just think there's so many positive things going on with this basketball program right now, and I'm really excited for next season.
Yeah, and the fact you said one thing that just caught my attention, although I already knew it. But when you say Rob Finnessy is going to be a junior, that does not sound like that's possible.
I know, but it is, and I think Rob at the end of the season had kind of taken control in the standpoint of running the basketball team, if you know what I mean. In fact, Al Durham, I thought, did that as well. I thought both those guys played their best basketball this year at the end of the year, where they affected how the team played at the offensive end of the floor. I thought Al got more aggressive with his play. I thought Rob did a better job of leading at the point guard position. I just thought there were so many positive signs for this ball club, and I wanted to see what they could do in the tournament, in both of the tournaments, the Big Ten and the NCAA, because I thought it was going to be a real momentum push for them going into next season, and I still think it will be.
I agree with you, sir. Don, it's always great to talk to you, and I look forward to doing it again next week. Hopefully there's a lot more positive things to talk about as the weeks go by.
Well, I'll be available. We can continue to talk, and I don't know what's going to be taking shape next week in regard to this coronavirus thing, or if anything will change. We can touch base on that. But honestly, I think this program has a chance to be special again. And right now, we just hope that they get an opportunity to start either, if not playing, and they won't be playing because everything's been canceled in that regard. But I hope at some point that they will allow these players to start practicing again, or at least be able to work out on their own in the sense of getting together and having somewhat organized practices and those kinds of things, because I think that's important to their development.
Yeah, hopefully the medical community can quickly come up with a vaccine, which I know that they're working on, and once that happens, I think that can speed things up pretty fast for us all. So hopefully we can get to that point.
Yep, it would be good. It would really be good.
Thank you, Don. I appreciate you, brother.
Yep. I don't know if you want to conclude after today. It's up to you. We can obviously talk next week if you want to do that, and or finish out the month if you want to do that. But honestly,
we'll be right back from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this Monday, March 16th. Man, should play some music from The Godfather or something. It seems like one of those days, man.
You should play Twilight Zone music all day long.
It is. You're not lying. It is, man. It's just weird. It's weird. The funny thing is, and like last Friday when I was talking to Stefan Kreisnick, and I said the younger generation because, obviously he's much younger, but people like us have experienced like 9/11 and things like that are catastrophic events. But even with that, and you heard Don mention it, this goes beyond that because that happened and then the healing started almost immediately.
Well, and the healing process included sports, that was part of the healing, like us, the solidarity, the solidarity,
entertainment, period,
getting back together, and then musicians all got together, and people got together, and that's what can't happen right now. The getting together part is what can't happen. So it's
you ain't never said anything truer ever than that right there.
It's just it's just weird that. I don't know. I just feel like not to get into. I don't believe in the conspiracy theory crap and all that. I'm not even trying to have a debate about whether you do or don't. It just is like there's got to be some stuff that we don't know, because the word cancellation I feel like everything should have been postponed. If we don't know what we don't know, then let's just pump the brakes a little bit and wait a week or two. I mean, look right now. How long does the last 5 days seem like it's been? Like, it was 5 days ago or 6 days ago they canceled the Big Ten tournament. I mean, we played a game. Now? We played a game 6 days ago.
I can't believe it's been that long already.
Whatever it was, yeah. I mean, but it just also it seems like that was yesterday. It also seems like that was 2 months ago. Like it's just been kind of on hold for the last several days, and I mean, I think I just surprised that we didn't put more things on postponement than cancellation. But I don't know.
Ryan from Whitmore Lake, Michigan says, "Good morning, guys. Hope all is well. When things get better, I was thinking that the players on the Big Ten teams on the men's side should get together at a high school gym somewhere and play out the remaining games of the Big Ten tournament. That would be cool." Yeah, it would be, but ain't happening, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, eventually we're just going to have to accept it, and none of us want to. I mean, this is a big part of our lives, and I hate to demean it and act like it's not that important, because it is, especially to the guys that that are graduating and that are seniors, and to the guys that how many breakout performances have we seen in the NCAA tournament or Big Ten tournament where it gives a guy confidence and momentum leading into the summertime, where then he gets that much better? I mean, look at Luka Garza a year ago. I mean, compared to what he was now, I mean, he had a whole summer of getting better, and then all of a sudden becomes a National Player of the Year candidate. A lot of that could have been spawned off of Big Ten runs and NCAA tournament runs, and it's just it's frustrating, and I get it, but I don't think any of those scenarios. You got to take into consideration AAU and recruiting tournaments, like the big national tournaments. I don't know if any of them will happen, but if they do, I mean, those things start up in like a month.
Well, the big thing is if they can come up with a vaccine. If they can, and I know that they're working feverishly, and I've seen that. I think they're making strides. That if they can come up with a vaccine, wow! Now you've changed things immensely. It's not just an automatic cure, I guess, but it is. If it works, then it halfway is. It's preventative, at least. You can stop the spread and get back to doing the things that we're used to doing.
Well, if in order to get the vaccine out to as many people as possible, if they could set the lines up in the toilet paper aisle at Sam's Club, where they could start giving the vaccines out, that's where they're going to get the majority of Americans.
Kill two birds with one stone.
Oh, it would work out perfect for everybody.
That's hilarious. Tim hit the text line, said 3 players in the transfer portal IU could target. Archie said he could land 1 or 2 more for 2020. Number 1, he's got Bryce Aiken, a point guard from Harvard. Number 2 is Matthew Moyer, a shooting forward from Vanderbilt. And number 3 is Evan Cole, a power forward from Georgia Tech.
Ding, 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 ding. Power forward.
There you go. And the winner is. So
power
there you
forward.
go. There's 3 guys to we'll talk about.
I don't know
that
anything about
Mike
any of those
later.
other guys, but you got me with power forward.
Yeah, that's if you look roster wise, Indiana losing Devontae Green, but more importantly, Deron Davis as a body, because there's no body coming in to replace him. Devontae Green, of course, you got Trey Galloway, you got Anthony Leo, and Jordan Geronimo. All 3 of those guys can do things that Devontae does, but nobody is replacing Deron Davis. So you're losing that. Now his minutes were limited, of course, but he did play some decent minutes offensively. He didn't. You lost a lot defensively with him, so it's going to be easy.
And you lost 5 fouls per game. You lost a big body that can just go in there and bang like there. But here's the thing: like if there was I think guard play and shooting was a major void this team didn't have. Okay, and on a consistent basis. But also another void that it didn't have was a rebounding, physical, Daryl Thomas type. And I think that's why everyone started to really like watching Race Thompson play, because I think he was really kind of starting to fill that void and starting to, work his way into that role. And he was only going to get better. Every minute he played was only going to make him better. And, that's one of the real, I don't want to use the word tragedies, but that's one of the real setbacks for Indiana, this particular team, because I think the growth that, I talked about it before. I think the growth that these guys would have gotten playing in the tournament is immeasurable. It would have been huge for them next year. But also, this is what I talked so much about before, is I wanted these guys to get the taste. Yes, I wanted Devontae and Deron to be able to go out and have played in an NCAA tournament. Yes, that for those guys, I think they've worked hard enough and deserve that. But for the younger guys, I wanted them to have the taste of what it was. And, once you have the taste of how much fun and excitement that NCAA tournament is, and those games just have a different feel, man, you work a little bit different. You work a little bit harder. Your training coaches, I don't think our trainers have ever even been to an NCAA tournament before. I mean, didn't he come from the Cincinnati Bengals? I mean, I don't think he's been involved in an NCAA tournament game before. So I wanted everybody to get that taste, get that little taste of it, because you work a little bit different in the summertime when you've had that. What are you laughing at, Jake?
He was snickering about something. There's nothing funny about that. What are you laughing about?
What I said is funny.
I was going to say he came from the Bengals, so he probably doesn't have any playoff experience.
He doesn't have any postseason experience.
Oh, man. It's cold.
Yeah, where's the drums?
That's a good one, though. Not bad. Not bad,
good,
Jake.
yeah.
I got to give it to you.
Man, I didn't think you even listened to me most of the time. You're usually just blank staring me.
But it's true. I mean, and golly, a class now went through Indiana without playing in the NCAA tournament. You can't say they didn't qualify, because they would have. And a lot of people, that's enough. We get back to the brackets. A lot of people want to see that for a lot of those reasons. At the end of the day, you can pretty much figure out who is going to be in the tournament unless a low team won a tournament somewhere. Indiana was going to be in the tournament. There's no question on that now. They're on like 99.9% of all the brackets. They did what they had to do. They got the win. They won 20 games. There was no way you're not going to have a team from the Big Ten with their resume. So they were going to be in.
Plus, they were going to beat Penn State and make a nice little run in the Big Ten tournament. So
that was very possible. Very possible.
It was just going to be, yeah. I mean, they were going to be in. That is it. It is. How many times do you hear this once you get older? Life's just not fair, and you got to deal with these setbacks and stuff like that. But man, this is a toughie. Like this.
Well, I mean, and it
this
is, and it's so different. But you know exactly. I mean, you played on what I consider without question, one of the greatest teams to not win an NCAA championship. There was reasons that 1 year it was taken away that was just out of people's hands. I mean, TV Teddy did a real job. Now, you can't blame him for everything because he didn't miss every shot.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, but he sure had a way. He sure unnaturally had a hand in how that game turned out, and it's not fair. I mean, everybody can look back to this day and go, that was a screw job, which I'd almost rather be screwed this way than that way, to be honest with you. That would, to me, would be harder to take, to be that close to that and have somebody individually take it away from you.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, we very, very seldom, I don't want to say never, but there was very few times Coach Knight ever discussed with us as players officiating or any of that. Coaches, and he instilled this in us, and this was factual. Like, I mean, he wanted us to overcome everything, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that now more than I did then. But he wanted us to be able to overcome any setback or adversity, or if we had to beat the referees, or you're going into another gym, or you're going to Purdue, or you play in Kentucky on the road. I mean, whatever it was, we knew there was going to be additional setbacks, and he wanted us to be able to overcome those. And so there might have been a few times he discussed something about officiating. I know he, outside of our locker room, I know after every game he would send a videotape to the Big Ten of bad calls. I mean, that was just a given. Like, they were going to do that no matter what. But to us, we never had that internal conversation. And we never had that internal conversation after that Final Four game either. But I mean, and I'll tell you, like, I've told you this in person before, I have never watched that game from tip off to the end. I've seen, some clips and highlights, and, I've seen different bits and pieces of it, but I've never watched that game, because I'm telling you, I watched it on the sideline for the majority of it, and I was losing my mind over there. Like, I always say I'm a fan first. Well, even when I was a player, like, I was just very fortunate enough to be able to shoot well enough that I got a scholarship and got to play. But other than that, I was just a fan, just like the rest of us. And I was losing my mind over there. I mean, I couldn't stand Ted Valentine back then either. And it was like, it was crazy. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I know all that, but Coach taught us to never use that as an excuse and never do that. These guys, like, this is ripped out of their control. Like, there's nothing that they could possibly do to change this. There was something. I mean, I could have hit 2 more shots and we could have still won. Like, there was something we could have done, but there's nothing these guys can do. I mean, that's a terrible, terrible feeling. I hate it for them.
And the funny thing is, it's not funny, but the weird thing is, there's really not a lot anybody can tell anybody else, because nobody else has
been through it. Right. Yeah. I mean, think back to I know they keep making a lot of comparisons to the H1N1, I think back in 2008 or 9 or whenever that was. And I mean, I swear I don't even remember.
Not even a blip on my memory. I remember it happening. I remember
the term, if you hadn't called it that. Like, I remember SARS. I remember the terms of those, but I don't remember there even. I mean, I think maybe I can remember something about, like, the stores sold out of bread. Like, people were stocking up on peanut butter and bread and crap. But I don't remember this kind of situation.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It didn't affect everyone's lives at the same time. It may have affected small batches of people, but it did not affect large batches of people, especially at the same time. And this is just shut the world down. It's shut countries down. I mean, in essence,
it's getting ready. It's getting ready to affect our economy to the point where it's not just going to affect us for the months coming. It's going to affect us for years and years. It's right there. I mean, we're in borderline recession, which is just disgusting that we can get that. This kind of thing can make us, have that big of a reaction to it. I'm a little bit disappointed in people's reactions overall. I mean, I thought as Americans we had a little more backbone than this.
Well, it's certainly a mistake. I mean, not a mistake, but it's a deal that's something we have to learn how to deal with together. It's just
I don't know. I don't know if it'll be the same because it's a Monday. I know over the weekend I purposefully did it, and I drove to Walmart. I drove to Sam's Club, and I couldn't have been more disappointed in people. Like I was being that jerk that was like a reporter. I was asking people like, why are you doing this? like I wanted
what
somebody
was the reasons? What
reason.
did they tell you? What was the reasons given?
Nobody has one. Nobody knows. It's panic. When you panic, you make decisions that probably later on you can't really explain. That's exactly what this is. It's panic. And people can't give you a great reason. I mean, what's going to happen, Jim? What's going to happen if you run out of toilet paper? I mean, I'm sure we'll figure something out. I mean, I got washcloths.
Basically, what he's saying, folks, there are much worse things to worry about.
I got washcloths and a washer and dryer, and so I'll figure something out.
It's nuts how people just go crazy, and they feel like that. Hey, I've got to beat you to it. It's like a feeling I got to beat you. I got to get it before you get it.
There was people pushing and shoving yesterday at Sam's Club.
Get out of here, man! This is nuts.
I'm serious.
I'm glad I just stayed home. I literally did not leave.
You know what? I kind of wanted to put myself through it. I kind of wanted, if I should be more panicked, maybe I was trying to get somebody to tell me something that was going to make me figure it out. But people just embarrassed themselves.
Craziness, man, craziness. Well, you've got a kid that played high school sports that lost his senior year. Will?
No, junior year.
He's just a junior.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's in good shape then. I was thinking he's a senior. You're the same age as my daughter, which I was just thinking that, though. Golly, had this been her senior year, I know, just like every parent knows how hard their kids work. I know what Kylie puts into it. She plays year round. They don't stop training ever. And it's like, wow, and it's not just this, it's the college, it's all levels. To have that taken away, I mean, think about the Olympics. That's a grave concern because it's in Tokyo, but hopefully by then that wave will have washed by and that won't be any problem there. But again, it's not just the sport, it's what the lives of these people that we're talking about. And it is a great deal of their life that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, think about it from this perspective. I mean, you see the statistics and the numbers. I mean, very few, no matter what sport it is, players get to go on to college and have a scholarship and continue on in their sports career on into college. Think about how many kids that are not Anthony Leal or Trey Galloway or Jordan Geronimo. How many of those kids are not going to IU or whatever school it might be, or not going to continue on, and they played their last high school game and they never even knew it? I mean, that's tragic if they don't get to. I keep using the word tragic. That's a sad scenario. Like that'll be something that I kind of made light of it a little while ago when we talked about needing sports psychology counselors, but I mean, I kind of mean it in that regard. That's something that's hard to understand and deal with. And it just, you don't want to live, you can live with some, trying and failing. It's hard to live with the what if and not knowing what would have happened. And that's just, that part of it really, really sucks. It needs to be talked about because we're talking about kids here.
Yeah, and plus now you got to look at, and I just, as a matter of fact, I had this conversation with Kylie last night because all of their training is stopped immediately. Everything's done. I'm like, hey, you got to work to keep yourself in shape here. You can't just let that fall off the track. And I got news for you. When I was 17, the last thing I wanted to do on my own was run and train and all that stuff. Because you knew you had to do it, but I always like to be pushed to do that. And
sure,
in that team situation, because it's just not enjoyable. But they've got to continue to, just like academics, you got to continue to push yourself, and that's another part of it. The academic side, they're out of school. That structure that they're normally used to. Again, if that was me, boy, my parents better be with that whip that Pat and I bought in New Mexico, ready to crack it on me because I'm not going to push myself academically. So this could be difficult for some kids that have problems, that don't have parents that are there all the time. They can't be there or don't have the ability to do it. There's so many things that this can bring
There's
up.
so many levels of this that, you start talking about, how many things this affects. And academics is one of those that you're really going to have to give consideration to. I mean, are we going to loosen the, what the requirements are for kids now? Because, I mean, not everybody can go through online schooling like these kids in high school are going to finish their careers out with. Like it's just different. We all learn differently. And I would have loved it, sleeping in till 10 before I had to get online and pretend to watch a class.
Hey, we got a lot more coming up here. Mike Schuman's going to join us. We're going to talk about some recruiting and actually some sports and think about what it'll be like actually when it returns to real life. But you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more after this.
I won't get tired. Won't go astray.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Green. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Like with this whole outbreak, we just left teams a lot hungrier. And with the last little speech Coach Miller gave us, I mean, I could see it in guys' eyes. Guys are ready to get back in the gym, even though we're not in the tournament because there is no tournament. In the guys' minds, they know that we made the tournament, and so I know that Coach Archie's going to instill into their head like, yo, we was in the tournament this year, so now what's the next step? What's the next goal? And then he said that the next thing is for us to be the top of the Big Ten now.
There was Deron Davis. That came from Fox 41 in Louisville, WDRB. Aaron Matus, a friend of the show. He was hearing him on here from Fox. He's actually an IU grad, but that was Deron Davis just talking about the situation. I mean, that's about all you can say. And guys like him, that was, he was a senior, didn't get to go out like he'd like to.
You sure that was Deron Davis?
Pretty sure. Yeah, that was Deron. No doubt about that. It just, but yeah, it's not the way he liked to go out his career. He came in, started off pretty on fire. Then he had a horrible injury and an injury to back it up, and just never could get back to what he had done. But coming in from Colorado, not very often is it from Colorado do you bring players back this way. But he was the player of the year out there, and of course, Devontae Green. These are some of the last recruits by Tom Crean as well. You've got Justin Smith left. Anybody else on that team? That's Al Durham. The remaining two on that team. But then you've got next year guys coming in: Trey Galloway, Anthony Leo, and then Geronimo.
But Al never played for Crean. He was just recruited by him, right?
Correct.
Because he's finished his third year. Okay.
Same with Justin Smith, actually, I guess.
Yeah.
Didn't they came in the same time as the kid that went back to Philly, right? Big kid. Daggone it. What? Clifton Moore. And there was the other one. Jake Forrester. Didn't they all come in together? The funny thing is you got rid of those big guys, and what do they need right now? So there's that. But there's Tim hit the text line earlier and talked about hitting the grad transfer portal. I don't know, because next year's the 2021 class is so big, Todd. There's so much talent in this state, but it doesn't mean that there's everything that you need as a team.
Sure.
This team needs to go out and get particular components. It's like an engine. You have to have the engine, the transmission, the brake. You have to have all these components for that vehicle to operate properly. It's just like a basketball team. You've got to have all the right components. What do they need going forward? What do they need to do differently, or not differently, but just better, or as far as player wise? What do they need?
There's really no, I don't think, good way for me to say this without it sounding like I'm being negative about some of the older guys. But, here's one of the things I like, and you're right. Like what I'm saying, not very articulately, is right along the lines of what you're saying. But, you've got to find guys that, you got to find a certain number of guys that are 6'8" or to 6'11". You got to find a certain number of guys that are 6'4" to 6'8". And not only do those guys have to have a particular skill set, but they've also got to fit within, someone that's going to respond to your coaching style and also get along with your teammates. And one of the things that I don't know is talked about enough in a positive manner that I like about Archie Miller is I think he has done a really, really good job at the guys that he has recruited are all extremely coachable, and they're good teammates, and they're the kind of guys that you want to play with. And I think that helps you recruit, for one, but I also think it helps you instill your style. That's why all the people who are saying, I shouldn't say that. That's why the criticism that comes to Archie Miller 3 years into his tenure, in my opinion, doesn't make any sense, because let him get players in there. And I don't just mean his players. I mean, let him get players that that respond to him and respond to his style of coaching and play well together. And if you ask me, I mean, I don't think we could ask for a whole lot more good teammates than Trace Jackson Davis and Rob Finnessy and Armand Franklin. Joey Brunk is now a part of that. Like, he came here because of Archie Miller and the system. Like I think everyone would agree, like, those guys appear to be good teammates. They appear to like each other and like playing together. And that's one of the things that I think is kind of overlooked from the standpoint of what Archie Miller has brought in. Now, what do they need to answer? Really crazy long-winded answer to your question. They need some power forward rebounding toughness that fits within what I just said to you. That they need good teammates. I mean, that if you want to know what the best part about our teams back in the 90s with Coach Knight was, like, everybody was a pretty good teammate. And if you weren't, you had to answer to Calvert. And Calvert was the best teammate of all. And did we have selfish players on our team? Heck yes, we did. And there's no way I'm going to tell you we didn't have crazy selfish players on our team. I'm not going to name them, but if you've listened to us over the long haul, you've probably heard me made enough reference to the guys you could deduct to, I think, the selfish players on our team were. And I like the makeup of what we have going forward.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I like to see how the team ended the season. Much better than it could have been, because they had their season was just like games they played. There was just always these stretches in which they would disappear. It seems like, and that was like a cataclysm for their entire season. But they ended it in a power
on an uptick. It seemed to be things were going the right direction. They were kind of figuring it out, for lack of a better way of saying it. And truly, like, I'll have a pit in my stomach about this all year long. And there's nothing that can ever change it. And I wanted these guys to have a taste of playing in the NCAA tournament. It's just different. Like let me tell you this. When you go to the first round of the NCAA tournament and you show up in your hotel, when you get there, there's two, like this was back in 1992. You get there and there's two gigantic bags full of stuff in your hotel room on each bed, on my bed, on Pat Graham's bed. And you get there and that bag is, one of them's full of all kinds of Adidas stuff that's in there. And one of them's full of all kinds of gifts from the school itself. And this is all stuff that, it's all Final Four stuff. It's all, just cool things. And you know what? Like, it's just different. I still have some of those things to this day that have the tag on them sitting in a tote that are just things that they gave us that are just cool. I mean, it's just a cool experience to go through. And, right now I know there's NCAA tournament stuff that's out there. Are they going to send it to the 68 teams that would have been selected? That's why I think the selection show should probably still go on, because they've got a whole bunch of NCAA stuff somewhere. What are they going to do? Send it to Kenya? And there's going to be kids running around with NCAA tournament gear?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. That's something else that I hadn't thought of. I mean, really. I mean, I'd say something probably a lot of people hadn't thought of, and they would probably be really close. The only ones you're really going to miss on are those bid stealers. That right. Couple of bid stealers. So for
a lot of those had already kind of played themselves out. Like most of those, most of the conferences outside of the Power Five that hadn't finished. And you're going to include the Atlantic 10 in this. The Atlantic 10 and the America East were probably two conferences, or American Athletic were probably two conferences that really had a chance for some. St. Louis could have jumped up and won that tournament and somehow beaten Dayton and got a bid. That's a possibility. You look at Wichita State or VCU, or somebody could have possibly stolen a bid in the American Athletic Conference or something. Possibly. But for the most part, you can factor in how those teams played all year long and how they were going to finish. All the other teams, like the Big Ten, I mean, unless Purdue won the tournament, they probably weren't going to get in. Unless Minnesota won it, they weren't going to get in.
And this is the season where you just have to say, sorry, unless you did that. So,
right.
But you don't. This is a season you don't get counted. You don't have a shot because you didn't really have a shot. So, so this year you just got to have somebody. I agree with you, man. They should, if nothing else, give us something that we don't have anything else other than the crap to make up to talk about.
And truly, like I really feel like it was part of the panic. I feel like the NCAA panicked and sent the committee home rather than, if nothing else, quarantine the committee. Put them in. They planned on being there anyway. I mean, they had this all scheduled. Like, it's an honor to be on that committee, and they all had planned on being there through Sunday, no matter what. So why panic and send them home? I read the thing where they sent them home last Thursday, and I'm like, why? Like they planned on being there. Have the selection show. Go ahead and have it. I mean, if nothing else, you create debate across the country.
On Twitter, someone loves our show, but they do not
either agree with or enjoy our takes on consumerism and viruses. I'm not sure why. But
I'm not,
we appreciate you listening. So I'm not going to call you out.
Not,
hey, everybody gets their opinion. I'll give it to them.
I don't
so
claim to be. I don't claim to. I'm not trying to get anybody to follow my line of thinking. I'm just telling you the way I feel about it, and I would love to hear whoever that person is. I'd love to hear their opinion. They could probably, persuade me to agree with them on something. I totally agree with it.
Yeah, it's just it's unfortunate. It really sucks. But the good thing is we're going to continue to be here to bring great guests, and bring people for you to talk to and ask questions of. That's why I hit up the text line in the future. You can actually talk to these people, Mike DeCourcy and those guys that we'll continue to have on as we go through these times of woe and want. But we got plenty more coming up. Mike Schumann's going to join us next. Stay tuned. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary on this Monday. It's March 16th, and we're back after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hi, this is A.J. Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle O'Leary here on this Monday. Coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Not a lot going on, but things are still going forward. NFL says they're expecting to start on time. You've got the NBA draft. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. You send that invite to Mike, Jake. Sally down in Evansville says they could have canceled the conference tournaments, postponed the NCAA tournament, had the selection show. Then if they want to cancel, they could have canceled. Agree with you, Todd. It was part of the panic. Had they done it, it would have been an official field of teams. Yeah. There's that.
Yeah. I mean,
you're right, Sally. We agree with you, and thank you for listening.
Agree,
by the way.
Sally.
And thank you for listening. But so, yeah, that's the it's so many ways. I mean, like you just said, we're not professionals anyway, so these are just our thoughts. Joined now by Mike Schumann from Daily Hoosier. Michael, how are you?
Oh, gentlemen, I've had better days. How are you?
Oh, wow. It's just been, lovely. I hope you don't have the coronavirus, if that's what that means.
Well, that's a great perspective right there, because, we might feel sorry for ourselves for what's going on, but if you don't have the coronavirus, you're having a pretty good day, right?
There is that, because I just saw one that I told Todd earlier, with all the cancellations of the high school tournaments and whatnot. Floyd County, Indiana, which is down in New Albany, area where I'm from, actually outside of New Albany, but they just had their first case, and it's someone who had been to the Seymour sectional. They had been to a high school wrestling event and other places, but this is exactly why they did what they did. And so instead of this being thousands, it's one case.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think, interestingly enough, we were all at really the last mass gathering that existed. So I think we're all kind of wondering, I don't know what the incubation period is. I've heard a few days to 15 days. So I think we're all kind of sweating it out until that day comes and goes.
I'll be honest with you, I haven't given it a second thought.
Not once.
Not one time have I given it a second thought. And I'm serious about that. I am contracted.
I mean, I am. I know that none of us are in the target, age range where it could be the most dangerous. But I mean, so I'm not trying to not take it seriously. I swear, like my attitude is not trying to be cavalier about it, where it's not a big deal. I think it should be a big deal. Yeah. I just don't think people should panic, and I think some of the activities I see of people doing, running out to the store and buying up everything that they can possibly do because they're going to stay home all day, that is panic.
But I say I haven't given a second thought. Now, what I mean by that is I haven't given a second thought about me having contracted it. I'll keep my hands clean. I'll wash my hands. I'm not doing things dumb. I'm not going out and acting like Rudy Gobert and touching everything. I'm not doing that. I'm taking it seriously. I'm just saying I haven't given it a second thought that I may have contracted it. But that's because I'm an idiot half the time. So there's that. So I'll give you that.
That's the first thing you've said on the show that I agree with, Jim.
Yep, I'm with you.
There you go.
I'm on here more than you, Mike.
That's honesty, man. Honesty. You get straight honesty here.
Yeah, I mean,
where's Indiana go next, though? They've still got to continue recruiting. Recruiting shut down, and not just Indiana, it's all teams, but everything is at a standstill. I think about Indiana football, where they had gained all that momentum and getting to have spring practice by having the late practices with the bowl games, and they got to take advantage of that now. And yes, it's the same for everybody, but they lose that. And man, that's important for programs like that. So there's all kinds of little bitty things that people aren't thinking of that are going to have effects.
Yeah, I mean, I think at least to me, you hit on the main point, is that it's it impacts everybody. It's a truce, effectively. You'd like to keep it going. You'd like to keep it going, but everybody's just sitting here kind of twiddling their thumbs at the same time, waiting for the green lights to come back on. And until then, I never thought of it as Indiana being at any kind of disadvantage or anything like that. I just think it's just like you guys when you're planning for your show, or me when I'm thinking about what to write about, they're sitting there thinking, okay, what do we do? Because we're all sitting here facing this completely unprecedented time right now.
It's kind of like playing wiffle ball. Car timeout.
Yeah.
But there's no time. There's not going to be a time in for quite a while, unfortunately. But everything has to continue. We talked about recruiting, which has stopped, but the kids that are being recruited, they still have to be seen. And now, as of right now, we've got AAU on hiatus, on hold. don't know when that'll come back. Of course, if they can get a vaccine, all this stuff can change. But the effects, we haven't even seen all the effects yet. Recruiting and all that stuff. There's talk about giving the spring athletes additional eligibility. We've been talking about that. What does that do for adding seniors on top of incoming freshmen, stuff like that?
Yeah, the recruiting thing, it could be really interesting, and probably one group that it does impact adversely would be, guys that are, we're looking forward to this spring and summer as a chance to really boost their profile. Guys that were just right on that edge of maybe high major, right on the edge of schools like Indiana, taking a look at them. I know there's guys out there like that, like a Brooks Barnheiser out of Lafayette, who had a really good junior year, shot 45% from 3-point range as a junior, and was going to get a good hard look from schools like Indiana this spring and summer. So what does it do to a kid like that whose exposure now is going to be, very limited? I'm sure there's still going to be AAU basketball at some point down the road here, probably not until June at the earliest, based on what I'm hearing. But it's kids like that you wonder, because the guys like Trey Kaufman, everybody knows who they are. Indiana's taking a look at them. Indiana's going to continue to be in contact, but it's the next level of kids that probably are pretty disappointed right now.
What about, and this could increase the use of the grad transfer market for a lot of people, because you don't have to worry about development. This year is going to kind of screw people up. So it gives you got people that have a track record. They've got you can look and see what they've done. So that hasn't worked out for Archie on the one time he's really tried it. But is that a way that you think he may need to go, because he's going to be lacking in the big man department?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which way they'll go for grad transfer. I don't know if it is big man, in my opinion. If you're talking about a guy that's just going to come in 1 year, being next year, I would say they would probably gravitate towards more of a 3-point shooter, in my opinion, because you're still going to have for next season's roster, you're still going to have Jackson Davis, Brunk, Thompson, Hunter, Justin Smith. You're still going to have a lot of size down on the block. I think the one thing you want to really round out the roster next year is a guy that you can just put in and hope that they can shoot around 40% or better from 3-point range. That's my opinion on it, at least. But I think clearly that's the one thing that's continuing to go on right now. There's been a ton of transfer announcements here in the last few days, and that's going to continue to go on. And, obviously the school's going to at least reach out to those guys and express interest, even if they can't, conduct official visits and things like that.
Fortunately, Indiana only had 2 scholarships that they were needing to fill anyway. And haven't they already filled their allotment for this? What they have?
Yeah, so where they're at is that, right now they have 1 opening, but if Christian Lander does reclassify into the 2020 class, they'll be full. So unless they have somebody that departs, which, I know we've talked about this here and elsewhere, I think, just based on where college basketball is today, that's likely, without naming names, people can form their own opinions. Some are more obvious than others, but chances are Indiana will end up with an opening, even if Lander does join in 2020, which I think is highly likely at this point. And so I think there is that one spot going forward, and my gut would say it is more of a grad transfer / JUCO guy that's going to fill it rather than a 4-year guy.
The only thing that would stop Christian Lander from reclassifying is if he did not complete all the requirements, because they said right here on our show that is the plan, is to reclassify as long as they get everything done. So that's not a question for them. Now you have to look at, does this affect that? Does this COVID-19 suspension of everything, does this affect that? Because their schools are going to be out. They're going to have to do everything online, which he was probably doing a lot of that anyway to get his all the certifications that he needed to reclassify. I don't know if this helps, hurts, or is no effect on it.
I don't know to comment on that, but my gut says it's no impact. I mean, it's 2020 here. I've got my 7 and 8 year old at home with me for the next month, doing all their stuff online. So I've got to believe that a 17-year-old kid is both capable and the structures in place to do everything that he needs to do.
Todd will tell you different.
Yep. What do you
He's
got,
had
Todd?
3 of them. He's had 3. He's had to do it 3 times. I bet he can tell you different.
Yeah. 7 and 8 year old. Oh my gosh, I just started an anxiety level for you. Just thinking of what that's going to be like around there. But if you need me to run to the store and get stuff for you, toilet paper or whatever it might be, I'll volunteer for that.
Well,
I'll volunteer for that for you.
Yeah, the most agonizing thing for me in this whole last few days has not been all the news of cancellations of sports. It's been the realization once those started that, oh my God, they're gonna cancel school. Yep. It hit me on Thursday, and the announcement came, I believe, on Thursday night, and it's gonna be an interesting few months here.
Yeah, well, hey, have you? I don't know if you guys have booked your flight to Greece or not. Have you guys gone?
Mine's not gone through yet. I've got that on hold.
Did you hear what happens if you go to Greece for a couple of months?
No. I have not.
Apparently, everyone forgets about all the bad things that you've ever done in schools you put on probation before, because you can come back and get a job back at the NCAA again, like Rick Pitino did. Because they just apparently, if you go to Greece, it wipes everything clean that you've done negative in the past, and all the illegal stuff that you've done, it just goes away. So apparently people are booking flights to Greece like crazy. Right?
We have not talked about that yet. I have not. Rick Pitino.
Because he's insignificant and nobody cares, and it's Iona. I mean, if they would have hired him at Iowa, yeah, we'd have an issue right now. But they hired him at Iona, and nobody cares.
They're up in the northeast, right?
Yes. They're in that. They're in that New
the Gales.
Jersey, yeah, wherever, Westchester, wherever.
Rick Pitino looking to get back into the college game, back into coaching, and
how's that happen?
Well, it is a great question, because all that stuff that went down, none of those coaches, the ones that actually got in trouble, never got in trouble. I know that the one guy was on Jordan, what's his name, Fair. They had him on an FBI wiretap. But nothing was ever done to him.
Pitino was the only coach that actually got fired, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he wasn't even labeled as having done anything, which is funny. They didn't have anything on him. So the fact that he went through all that and Iona went through all that, that tells me that I don't know that anything is going to come down towards those guys, because we all wonder what's going to happen to Kansas and Louisville, Mike, because they've been playing under this cloud with this FBI investigation, yet they've kind of skirted. Now you got this coronavirus that's helping them out. I mean, it's like everything under the world that can help them keeps getting helping them, but this stuff is still coming.
Yeah, and I guess it's a good indicator that nothing is going to happen, because I got to believe that Iona at least did some baseline due diligence on this thing and got comfortable that Pitino wasn't going to get banned by the NCAA here in 6 months or something. I mean, how long ago has that been at this point? Almost 2 years.
Yeah,
that things went down and nothing has come of it, either really for Pitino or for Louisville or Kansas or anybody else. And so I think the fact that Iona got comfortable on hiring him tells you that nothing's going to happen, which is just really incredible. Considering bringing it back to Indiana, considering Indiana's program was effectively shut down and restarted because a guy made phone calls, and something that's now illegal. Not that that's right, because it was clearly a violation of the rules, but just comparing the two situations and recognizing that nothing came out of it for Louisville is just bizarre.
Here's what I don't get out of that scenario. So if Rick Pitino threw his name back in the hat for coaching vacancies across the country, there would be like Texas, for example. I mean, they're talking about having a new coach at Texas. I mean, we could probably name 10 big time programs and schools right now. Why would Iona be the place that he comes back to?
Because they're the only one to take a risk, because no other big school is going to take a risk on him, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's going to be cleared by the NCAA, I mean,
Iona can use the boost. He just gave them a gigantic boost. I guarantee you season tickets are going to be going up. They've already the advertising that they're receiving simply because of this story is adding money to them.
I get it. I mean, I know why they would do it. I'm surprised that if he really wanted to get back into coaching, I mean, if he throws his name out there, I mean, if you're Texas and they're going to get rid of Shaka Smart, I mean, would you not interview Rick Pitino?
Well, Rick, here's what Rick Pitino wanted Louisville to do when they were going through all this. He said, "Do not when they gave themselves an in-season ban from postseason ban rather." He said, "Don't do that. Fight them because that's what North Carolina did. That's what everybody fight them, and they didn't fight them, and they ended up getting nailed because of it."
Right.
And he's like, "Screw it, fight them because if you fight them, there's nothing they can really do." And it's
I mean, Kansas is the prime example of that. I mean, they have just fought it and deny, and said it wasn't me.
I mean, Mike, that's pretty much been the case. Everybody just, if you fight hard enough, their teeth are only so deep.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And obviously, Indiana didn't do that with the Sampson situation. They basically just
rolled over.
Mea culpa at the time. But, you know, I think, you know, you think about how Indiana fans would have reacted if they had an opening right now and IU hired Pitino. I think it would have been outrage.
Boy, would that be something. See, that would give us a great conversation every day. I can tell you that.
There'd be plenty to talk about, but I think that may answer why he wouldn't fly at a place like Texas or other places. But, you know, a place like Iona, you know, the program doesn't have the prestige. It is a historically good low major program, but I think they see a lot of benefits without a lot of risk. If it for whatever reason backfires, they can just move on to the next guy, and it's not.
So in your opinion, is this a stepping stone? Does he take this job and then
try
do good for 2 or 3 years and go back to let's
now, he's like 67 years old, isn't he?
He is 67. But let's laugh and look at this as a possibility, because now we've seen things happen in the world that we never would have thought could have ever happened, and canceling stuff all over. But right now, John Calipari coaches 2 more seasons and leaves Kentucky. And he goes to Iona for 2 years and then goes back to Kentucky.
Look at you, laying it on the table already.
I mean, you look at it right now. I mean, you talk about going from loving someone to hating them beyond belief to, I guarantee you they would welcome them with open arms. I promise you
they would open the door wide open, roll the red carpet out. The trumpets would be howling.
Let's just start that rumor right now. Let's get it rolling right now. I want that on the Daily Hoosier by the end of the day.
That's not. But the funny thing is it's not as far-fetched as it sounds, because you're exactly right in the timeline you just laid out. I think Calipari he's 2 years maximum, because the rule is going to go away. The one and done thing.
These two guys are the same. They're the same person, pretty much. I mean, Pitino and Calipari are the same person. So what do? They coach in college for several years, and then they go to the NBA for 2 or 3 or 4 years, and then they go back to college. Right now, we're on the tick where it's time for Calipari to move on. He'll go coach the Knicks or Dallas Mavericks or whomever for 2 or 3 years, realize that doesn't work again, and then he'll come back and he'll probably be the coach at Louisville. I mean, and Pitino will go back to Kentucky.
Boy, just a little. I know there's probably not hardly any Louisville fans listening, but if they were, the skin just crawled on.
Well, and they've got a great coach right now, so hopefully he isn't going anywhere from their perspective. But I mean, I just use Louisville as an example. Let's say he goes to Kansas, because
it would be as improbable as him going there as it was Rick Pitino going there.
For sure, exactly. I mean, it sounded as stupid then as it does right now, but it's Kentucky, and anything can happen in that state.
You got it, man. What you got coming up next, Mike?
Well, that's a great question.
I just gave you the whole article you need to write right there.
All right, man. Pitino to Kentucky.
There you
go.
To Kentucky.
2 years.
There you go.
2 years.
I do think this is a stepping stone. I mean, he's just that guy, right? I mean,
right.
I think he was shamed by everything that went down at Louisville. I think he's always wanted to get back, not just to Division I, but to the high profile game. So I think, man, if he has a good couple of years there, he's going to try to find a way back to the highest levels.
And that white suit that he wears deserves to be worn somewhere other than Iona. I mean, that thing's badass.
And it deserves to be worn again, without doubt. Mike, thanks, man. We appreciate you. Well, I guess we'll
we may have you on tomorrow. We got nothing else to talk about. Have your phone ready. You got 7-year-old, 8-year-old. I mean, we can.
You may have all the content.
Yeah, we got updates on what's going on in your household. And that's what we're reporting on Tuesday.
My daughter is a diehard IU fan. We'll have her on tomorrow. Okay.
All right, bingo.
Just give your son a wiffle ball and a wiffle ball bat, and we'll have all kinds of stories to talk about.
I might need to use that bat.
Mike Shipman, Daily Hoosier. Thanks a lot for joining us, man.
All right, guys. Have a great one.
See you.
There you go.
Bye.
Man, it's still been fun. That's the great thing is we're still going to have fun. We're going to try to make it as light for you as possible and just have as good a guest as we can have and keep talking about some good, fun stuff. 'Cause that's what there is to do. So it's our job to entertain you, and we're going to keep trying to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to keep my comments towards sports so I don't piss anybody else off on Twitter. But
Todd's going to learn how to juggle.
No, I can already juggle. Hand-eye coordination.
Unfortunately, that doesn't do great for radio. That's not. I was thinking of, man.
That's great. A good point.
But man, we'll be back tomorrow doing it again. Look forward to it. Of course, Chronic Hoosier will be with us, and we'll always have another special guest. We always get that taken care of. Looking forward to that as well. But I hope you go out and have a fun coronavirus-free day and enjoy the kids, because I'm sure a lot of you got kids at home now. And I'm glad we can be a respite from that. So, because I'm sure you need it. But
I'll clean my language up. We can make it family friendly.
That wouldn't be much fun.
Yeah. Plus, we know I can't do that. So.
None of us can. None of us can. Let's go wrap it up for us today, man. We appreciate everybody joining us. Thank you for listening. Indiana Sports Feed. As always, we appreciate you. We'll be back. Same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow. Until then, for Jake and Todd, I'm Jim Coyle. I'll see you on the radio.